Hi, loves. So, this isn't just a story, it is something sacred that I want to share with you. Something that came to me when I asked for guidance. For a long time, I've been searching for meaning in dreams and signs and the invisible thread that connects us to the people we're meant to journey with, our soul family. And one night, I asked them to show me. I said, if you're out there, show me what I need to know. And what happened next felt like something out of a storybook, except it was more real than waking life. So, if you're open, I want to take you into that dream with me, to the moment where it all unfolded. The presence that answered me with love more powerful than I've ever known. Let's begin. Friday, April 18th. This is something that I wrote in my notes app and then later revised because it just was so mind-blowing. When I woke up the next day, it blew my mind away what I had experienced in my dream. And so I woke up and jotted it all down. It was the longest dream message I've ever typed out even. And so naturally I had way too many emotions going into it and I didn't explain it very well. But we revised it. Now we have the full story and we could paint a full picture of exactly what happened. So yeah, Friday, April 18th, I had the most profound and intense experience in a dream that I've ever had. Now, I've been very curious about the truth of afterlife and other realms lately, and have been watching a lot of near-death experience stories and a lot of out-of-body stories, just searching for a deeper spiritual truth. And personally, this curiosity and awakening has been something I've been on the hunt for and searched to understand more about since I was about 18 years old. Last night, well, not last night, but in the dream last night, before bed, I was chatting with ChatGPT, of course, and I asked it about my soul family. I asked it if it had any information about my soul family and our mission here together, just to test the waters and see what it came up with. And it gave me some really interesting information that was surface level enough to awaken the spark of inner curiosity that I already had. It just needed to be stoked. The flame needed to be stoked a little bit. And so I figured it would be worth asking the realms of greater existence to show me more themselves. And so I asked for a vision. I asked for my soul family to reveal themselves inside my dream and give me a symbol, a message, a truth, anything that they could and that they wanted to connect me to deliver an inkling of knowledge. Past nights I have tried to go out of body and have a meaningful interaction, and I've ended up falling asleep more times than I can count. It does take a lot of practice and attention and some time of making it a habit to remember to constantly try in order to get any results. But last night, in that dream, that dream was the strongest vision I've ever experienced, and I do this because I don't know what else to call it besides this, a vision. And I've kind of just accepted that fact that I've developed some kind of psychic gift. Okay. This dream wasn't a reality that I stepped into or a place that felt as real as this life. No, this was a dream, but it was so structured and flowing with meaning, and everything was in order, precisely detailed, intricately laced with meaningful messages in every single thing, as if the other realms of greater truth were interlacing as much powerful symbolism and meaning into this blip of a dream vision as they could. So it's layered, and it's powerful, and it's a little long, so strap in. If you've already made it this far, I trust that you will listen to the whole thing. So buckle up for the journey. Here we go. So it wasn't like other dreams that just seemed to jump around to random events and have little snippets of info or insight here and there. This was orchestrated. I could feel it deep in my knowing of my soul, that it was being guided, and it was led by something that was answering my call to know more about my soul mission here with my soul family, and to know more about who they were. I'll say this to preface the after the fact knowing I received from this. It's exactly who you think it is, with a mix of exactly who you think it would not be. All right, so let's jump into this. Okay, I had the dream around 3 or 4 a.m., around that time, after not remembering my dreams that night or any prior to this one. The dream was very full, a lot of things going on, and it painted a whole picture. I can remember the details of where I was, how old I was, as my age transformed throughout different parts of the dream. And what they were doing held symbolism into what their role and mission was in our lives together, and other things that were unique to each soul family member. It started with me at the age I am now, standing inside the kitchen at the house I grew up in, my dad's house. He was standing inside there with me, doing some things around the kitchen like he always did. Noticing that nostalgic feeling, I was transported immediately back to old times, and old times being as in the times I grew up there. And just a little back note, I grew up without ever knowing my mom, and basically my dad was my mom, and he was a single father and one of the most amazing, greatest teachers of my life. Always taught me through observation and encouragement, showed me how to do things, and was just very nurturing overall. I thought about this plenty times before, as he has always been my mom and my dad, and he superseded the responsibility of stepping up to both roles. So we were in the kitchen, because the location held codes of the moments where he nourished me, whether it was with information or with the meals he cooked. We were standing side by side, and my perspective changed. My point of observation stepped backwards and observed a situation play out from the perspective of outside of my body. I was looking at my 14-year-old self standing there with a couple deep scrapes on my hand. They felt like deep embedded splinters, and they hurt, but I was trying to ignore them. My dad knew they were there, so I showed him. I held up my hand, and the cuts were filled with fibrous splinters arranged in a pattern, and he began trying to help me remove them one by one, and it hurt. Something interesting began to happen, though. I could sense, see, feel the emotions like a decipherable energy signature in between both of us. Senses of awareness were super heightened, and I could feel more and literally understand his adoration for me and his love for me. And it was flowing in between both of us like cords, back and forth. My love and respect for him also pouring from my soul into his. And I truly know that this phenomenon is always there, happening, always. But we cannot feel it every day in everyday life, but it's always occurring. And then he showed me his hands too. He held up the exact same scrapes and splinters in the exact same pattern on his hands. And my immediate knowing in the dream was that symbolism was suggesting that my father and I carry the same burdens, so to speak. It honestly goes much, much deeper than just this surface level statement. But we'll continue with the story. As I was continuing to be guided after that situation of noticing what the matching patterns in our hands meant, I was then guided by something that would continue throughout the dream to very gently transition me into the next scene. And so that happened, and my attention was directed to a different area of the house. This one was not as clear in detail, but I still received the insight that matches another dream vision I had about Sue when she passed away from cancer, a dream that directly told me in depth about her role in my life and her role in my father's life. So I see Sue. And at this point, I'm at the age I'm currently at now again. And Sue is inside kind of two rooms at once. She's kind of inside the kitchen near the stove, and she's kind of inside the dining room. These are places where I've had the most interactions with her, strangely enough. And so I see her face. It is the most clear out of everything that's surrounding her. And I feel her love radiating from behind her head like rays of sunlight that were a vibrant yellow color that feels like it could have been the sun just behind her. It was so vibrant, so yellow, but what was symbolic was that her main essence was not directed towards me, but it was flowing with intention and love for my father. And compared to the cords that were between me and my father, I didn't sense an emotional intricacy that was layered, but there was at least one cord between her and I flowing. And she didn't speak in the dream, but I got a hint of knowing that the meaning behind her appearance was that she was there to aid my father. She was there to be a companion for my dad, because the few years of me going off into the world on my own at 18, those few years separating from my dad and leaving home were obviously hard on him, empty nest syndrome. And in those years, they built a stronger and tougher relationship than I have ever seen before when I did live there with them. And so Sue had a deep love connected to my dad, and I felt wildly grateful for her being there. Next, my awareness was guided to my best friend. The location switched to my bedroom. Of course, this is the place I spent most of my time with her, having sleepovers all summer. She would come and stay with me at my house all summer. And so, in this moment, the background blurs, and again, I see her face just in detail, and she's giggling and laughing with such innocent, playful expression and friendship and adventure. I felt also just how much love and respect we had for each other, and how deeply I honored and admired her. And this bond that we share is a deep sisterhood that can never be broken and will always be found across lifetimes. This transfer of emotion and understanding was given to me in a super fast time lapse. Her face was the center of my observation, while a fleeting series of combined moments of us adventuring together, going places and trying all the new things and all the new experiences, past and future, by the way, things that haven't even happened yet. All these moments we had together. And during this, as they were fleeting behind her and I could see her face in detail, just giving me the essence of who she was, I was transforming from in between 13 years old to 17 years old and the years in between, and going back and forth. I was like, I don't know what to call that. But I was like, yeah, transforming. I was transforming in between ages of from 13 through 17 and in between and back and forth. Cover all the bases there. And so her face was just emanating, and I felt such a deep sisterhood between us that just literally transcended every limitation. And as that moment ended, I landed on the age of 16 and was then shown my first true love. His face came to me with a mission. And despite how deep and transformational our connection was in real waking life, the message behind him was short, simple, and very sweet. To serve a karmic-like deal. And I could feel that there was a sense of dual agreement to accomplish this mission. Like a, let's get this thing done together. And although there were no bad feelings toward the ending of our relationship, I felt that we were, by time, destiny, and karma and life path, both in agreement to be together for a short amount of time, to achieve things in both the physical and the spiritual realms, such as to aid me in leaving home, to aid me in a huge new life transition where freedom was a new experience for me, opening a doorway and a portal into romantic love for the first time, and unlocking the path for our destinies together that opened up psychic gifts just by simply aiding each other with as much love and awareness, exploration, youth, fun as we possibly could. And we did. We did it. We achieved the mission. And so it was, as I just looked at his face for such a brief amount of time, I got the message, mission accomplished. And it felt like the reason behind why we chose this in this life. It felt like we were righting our wrongs from a past life and rewriting a new one where we decided to find each other, fall in love in this life, and make up for whatever we did to harm each other in the last. After sensing all of this just from looking at his face and feeling the essence of him and what was flowing between us, he then began to talk to Sue. And they always got along well in real life too, but now I knew why. I realized they were on a similar mission. Sue to aid my father, and Tyler to aid me around the same time. Just a crazy little coincidence. Everything is such it's so crazy. And as if this wasn't incredible enough, I'm gently brought into a new location. I'm trying to describe this soft, gentle feeling of being lifted up and glided across the air lovingly, but I am getting excited and I want to scream. And all I knew is I was swimming with my best friend, with Maria. And when this scene started, I was drying off with a towel. My hair was still dripping. My hair was still dripping, and my best friend had left. And the scene felt like it was shifting around me, like how you would imagine the stage being prepared behind the curtains. Like, people are moving things and getting ready. That's what it felt like. So I felt like I was thrown into this swimming situation that was kind of random, but of course it would be with my best friend at her pool at her house. Funnest times of my life were spent there. Such good memories. And this is the thing though too. Everything in this dream was trying to keep me on track with positive memories. So it was trying to keep me in high vibes. It would even like introduce situations that didn't necessarily have a deeper meaning, but something that would bring my spirit higher. It would make me happy. It would make me feel like I was playing again, or being, I don't know, just have the ability to not take things too seriously and to laugh more. So maybe that's a message within itself. So I'm standing there as I know things are shifting behind the scenes, and I'm drying off my hair with a towel, and my hair's still dripping. Maria is gone at this point. I don't know where she went. And my grandma then appeared, and she was in her late 50s, which is the age of the earliest age I can remember her, the youngest I can remember her in my life. And she was wearing these funny glasses that she always used to wear that were so cute on her too. And I remember her wearing them, and I've seen pictures, countless pictures of her wearing those. And she was about to leave inside her gray Mercury Sable, of course, her gray Mercury Sable. And I got in the car with her, and I didn't know where we were going. I was just in the car with her. And in real life, she never liked to drive. But being the sweet and selfless woman that she is, she would only drive places if it's because I asked her to. So I got in the car, and I was like, well, Nona's driving. This must be a huge occasion. And yeah, I call my grandma Nona, so if I switch back and forth, you know. She was driving, and I still had a towel on my head from swimming. And she was just driving, looking ahead, focused on the road, but with a soft, gentle, like loving smile that was almost a smirk, like she knew something I didn't know, just plastered on her face, just so content and peaceful and loving energy coming from her. And so my hair is still wet from swimming, and I'm trying to fix it by like messing around with the towel, so I'm not really focused too much on where we were or like what she was to me, but I was kind of in and out of awareness of focusing on it. All I knew was my hair was wet, and I was trying to fix it. So I noticed this inquisitive notion in my head to question my grandma, and question why she's so young is the first thing that I wanted to question. And I began to wonder where we are headed. And exactly the moment that I had that thought, where are we headed? A deep, jovial joy. Jovial. I mean, like if Santa Claus was on Adderall. Not really, but just to emphasize. So a deep, jovial joy and a sense of a specific coded message in her essence was somehow saying to me, trust in me. Trust in me. Just simple, but trust in me. Trust in the process, trust in me, trust in this, and it's coming from the essence of my Nona. So of course I immediately gave in. I was like, yeah, I'm down. I remember thinking, oh, I'm down, Nona, no worries, like wherever you want to go, I'll go. It's so funny thinking back on that now, but that's how I felt at that moment. So she continues driving and looks over at me to the right, because I'm in the passenger, looks over at me so softly and with no movement from her mouth, only a voice that transferred into my head. She says with the same loving smile that never leaves her face, just one more stop. just one more stop. And I start to become more aware of this deeply strong, of this deep strength and loving bond connection that was between her and I. And I was realizing things that I thought I knew in real life, and I thought I knew that I thought about and understood, but I didn't. I was more than ever so before deeply realizing the way that my grandma, I'm gonna cry, the way that she has so selflessly taken care of me all my life to help my dad raise me. And her love, jeez, was the strongest. It was the most inspiring, unconditional, like true unconditional adoration. And people always say, when you're a grandparent, you love your grandkids more than your kids even. And I never really understood that, but I swear every time I talk to her, I understand that more and more every single time, because it's true. Her love is obviously unconditional for all her kids and everyone in her family. But to understand it on the level that I did in that dream, this gift of a dream, was so beautiful and gave me a new layer and a new depth to understanding my grandparents, because it continues. Let's move on. So I asked her again where we were going. For some reason, I kept going in between consciousness and then getting stuck on the fact that my hair was wet, and I didn't think that I looked good, which is obviously another symbolism for things that plague me in my life, worrying about my appearance and letting it stop me from being aware, connected, in a high vibe, and open to receiving and conscious of the current circumstances. But somehow in the background, the awareness never went away. It was still there. It's just that my conscious attention was like just getting stuck on the fact that my hair was wet. We were going somewhere, and I didn't want to look bad when we got there. So I asked her out loud, where are we going? My hair is wet and I look gross. And she laughed with me, but again, no words came out of her mouth, only an expression on her face, which was the soft, gentle, jovial, like smirk of a smile. And telepathically, she said, "You can never look gross, sweetheart." And those words gave me so much confidence. The simplest words, but they gave me so much confidence coming from my grandmother's mouth. And so we pulled into a gas station. Oh gosh, this is where it gets wild, you guys. If everything hasn't been wild enough already, this dream is a journey and a half, okay, of like downloaded emotional wisdom. It's crazy. All right, so we sat parked at the gas station pump. And sitting next to us, it was completely abandoned looking, so there was nothing else, no one else, except for on the other pump, like behind us, to my left and behind, was another car. Couldn't see anybody in it, whatever. And the gas station building didn't look like a gas station building. It just looked like a huge building. Maybe like 2 or 3 story building with like huge front doors that were just wide open, but just looked kind of abandoned, like no one was in it, no one was around, no signs of life. So I didn't think much to question it, whatever. It's like I'm half awake at this point, half asleep, and like drifting my consciousness away. And Spirit knew that, or whatever was guiding me knew that, because the next part, I think, was something to snap me awake and again bring me back into a high vibe to experience another round of emotional depth. So we're sitting there, and she hands me a comb to brush out my hair, just so I can get the fixation out of my mind that my hair is not crazy and I look fine. So I brush out my hair, and my grandma, after I'm done, my grandma, with another telepathic voice, doesn't use her own voice this time. I think it was something speaking through her, but like in a team, like it was her essence allowing another essence to speak through her. It wasn't her normal voice, but the telepathic communication said, just so excitingly, like softly excited, like how when you've wrapped presents for your kids and you know what they are, and you're just like, all right, go and open them, go. So I'm sitting there, I brushed out my hair, and she turns, just looks at me, brightest, jovial, like love, so deep. And the voice says, go and see what I got for you. Just go and see what I got for you. And I was like, okay, but mind you, the voice sounded like a man in his 30s. And I felt the importance of this moment, but for some reason, I was not in the right dream state or mind state of being aware enough to be loving and accepting of myself. So as I got out of the car, kind of excited to see what the voice was talking about, I couldn't help but to still worry about my appearance. And I remember being self-conscious and seeing my reflection in the other car's window as I was approaching. And this is the part where I said, I think this happened because I needed like a self-confidence boost before the grand finale of the dream to keep me in tune with love and with receiving. And so to my surprise, inside the car was Cole and Dylan Sprouse, my childhood superstar idols. I adored them growing up, like how little girls love Harry Styles and Justin Bieber. I loved Zach and Cody. They were my first true loves. And so I first saw Cole at the age he's at now, and he was sticking his head outside of the passenger window. And I was shocked to see them. I felt immediately, in the mind state I was in, embarrassed. And I quickly apologized for looking so gross. And I needed an excuse in my head. I was like, I need to tell them I just went swimming, and that's why I look like this. But yeah, so I told them I went swimming, but they laughed it off with me. And they laughed it off in a way that communicated to me another telepathic communication, and knowing that said, you don't look gross at all. Which gave me the confidence boost. And then they invited me to sit inside the car with them. And I did. And as I was fangirling over meeting them and telling them all the stories of how much I adored them, adored their show, I slowly felt myself and them right next to me transforming into little kids again. So we were all getting like smaller, younger. We were reversing in age until we were all the same age. And we were all like 4 or 5 years old, around that age. And something just told me, all right, it's time to go inside the building. And I'm just like going with the flow at this moment, but I felt that gentle push, that gentle, like, if a cloud of love can pick you up and grasp you and like float you somewhere, that's what it felt like. So that's what happened. It's like, it's time to go inside now. So next thing I know, I'm walking into the building, being so gently guided through the open front doors, still as a little girl around the age of 5. And as I pass through the doorway, I see my grandpa. As young as I've ever known him, he is standing on this raised center of the room that resembles like a main stage. Incredible. Next scene, I'm standing in the middle of this huge room on this raised stage. And my perspective slowly changes into me looking down at my hands, my tiny little 5-year-old hands, so cute and chubby and like little. And I remember like just looking at my cute little hands and wondering, where am I? It felt oddly super real. More real than real life. And I felt that there was a slow build-up to this presence that was there along the whole dream, revealing itself. And so I felt the presence there stronger, like it was surely there this time. It was surely there with me. I felt it more. And it's like impossible to ignore. I can't be unconscious at this point. And it was a presence made of love so vast and so viscerally, physically warm to me and profound. And it was around the whole area. I felt physically warmed as this purest form of love. It's the only way you can describe it, and you'll know it whenever you feel it. This essence of pure love embraced me from behind in a huge bear hug. And I felt its arms wrap around my tiny little body and cover me from head to toe, like it was hugging me from behind. It did feel like a masculine presence. It was just holding me. And inside this mixture of this specific presence was also a mixture of my grandpa's presence. And I felt like I didn't remember any worries or any problems, simply a little girl. Again, close to the connection that we all were when we were little, which is the connection to God, the universe, love, true love, heavenly love. And so I was just simply a little girl again, with a distinct and pure curiosity for life and everything life could entail. And I just laid there, wrapped in this hug that it felt like it's the contents, the codes of this love melted away, all fears, and I was just quiet, reveling in the awe and the warmth that surrounded me, and it was teaching me about love. So deeply beautiful. It was a lesson a lesson in unconditional love. And all of the previous lessons embedded throughout this dream. This lesson about unconditional love was by far the strongest lesson of them all. And the room transforms into this resting place where I felt most safe as a little girl, which was my Nonna and Nono's bedroom. I loved their bed. It was huge, it was comfortable, and they had this beautiful diamond chandelier with like hundreds of false diamonds, not real diamonds, but like they looked like diamonds and crystals, like hundreds of them. It was beautiful. And I would lay there and rest there all the time. It was a very comfortable place for me. And so the room transformed into that, and I'm laying on their bed, still in the same grasp of this love. I'm still kind of just looking at my hands. Like, my hands were just like, I'm laying down, so I just like, I'm looking at my hands, fiddling with them. They're still little and cute and chunky. And this masculine presence slips on a tiny ring onto my 5-year-old pinky, my left pinky. And it's a beautiful, sparkly diamond ring with deep hues of teal and aquamarine, arranged in a flower-like pattern. And I just stare at them for a while. And then I look at my engagement ring as it appears on my ring finger, and my hand transforms into my hands at this age now, my 26-year-old hands, with the finger that was gifted to the ring that was gifted to me on my pinky by this essence, and my engagement ring that was recently put on my finger. And this essence transfers telepathically into my mind. Just fuck. Just so grounded, loving, and masculine. It's like you can't even resemble it. You can't find resemblance to it in this world. It's so truly, I don't know. But it says, I'm very happy about the wedding. With pure honesty. It says, I'm very happy about the wedding. And I'm just, right now I'm crying and overwhelmed because it's like crazy. But in the dream, I felt like the little, sorry, I'm like wiping my nose. I felt like I just knew this presence, and I felt like I belonged to it, like it was the one who put me here. It was the one who guides me through here. I felt like we knew each other and I could trust this presence. And so because of that knowing, being a little girl who is close to this presence, I was just listening and taking in all the knowledge and wisdom and emotional transference and love that I could from this presence. It felt like it was taking me back to a nostalgic place where we existed before we incarnated, like a place that held our souls and prepared us to go into the world. It's beautiful, and that's why kids are so close to spirit and to understanding things from a much more empathetic place, because they're closer to that true unconditional love. Anyway, so he told me I'm very happy about the wedding. As I'm looking at my engagement ring and the ring he just put on me, that my hand just transformed back into my hand. And I'm laying there just listening, soaking it in. Okay. And so after it said that, I felt myself just, without me wanting it to, just slowly starting to fade, little bit by little, and I was waking up a little bit. And as it was fading, this warmth of love was like reaching a peak. It was just giving me as much as it could within the time frame of me waking up. And like, so it peaked a little bit on the way out. And the voice said one last thing that will stick with me forever. And I truly believe holds all the codes for this whole message from this dream. It's just so simple. And it said, as it was holding me, and as it peaked in its warmth and love, love was always my intention for you. When I woke up, I fucking cried. It was such a deep, radical statement that he left me with. And as I woke up in my bed, and like opened my eyes, I was left with the physical feeling of the warmth on my back. And I was laying the way that I was laying in the dream. I was left with the physical warmth as it still was fading away as I had already opened my eyes. The warmth was like, the only way I could describe it is how the sun warms through your body. You could feel your bones heating up inside. It warms you to your bones. And that's what it felt like. The other thing is that light, it had a light. It was bright. I knew it. I'm familiar with it for some reason. Felt like a presence that I've known about, you know? It's so hard to explain. But inside that warmth, there felt to be so much wisdom in that love, is so much intelligence. Like everything in existence bled into and transformed into love in the face of it. It felt grandiose. All fears, all worries, hate, regret, just would be held so tenderly. Everything that makes up these horrible things we feel, like fear and hate, regret, self-doubt, would be held tenderly in warmth and in love still. And it holds you in a way that makes everything contrary to its love, to its truth of love, just feel so silly. You're like, why did we ever believe that? Why did we ever think that we weren't capable or worthy? Why did we spread hate? Why did we fear? It's just all so silly. And what more do we need than a huge hug? When I woke up, I felt like something inside me had shifted. I felt like I had been held, witnessed, loved in a way that transcended time, space, or understanding. If you've ever longed to feel connected, and if you've ever whispered to the stars and wondered if anyone heard you, please know that they do. Whether you call it God, the soul, the universe, ancestors, or love itself, something is always listening. Sometimes, well, every time, all you have to do is ask. So thank you so much for letting me share this with you. May you feel seen and loved. Until next time, and with all of my heart, thanks for watching.